actively asking a question, please wait to be called upon prior to asking your question. We also ask that you please limit your questions to one initial question, potentially a follow-up question. If we do have additional time allotted in our coaches' availability, we will work our way back to get additional questions answered. And please use the raise your hand feature here on Zoom to get your question in the queue for our coaches. With that being said, happy to be joined by Coach Maynard with Alabama A&M. Coach, first and foremost, thank you so much for taking some time to join us. If you could please start us out with an opening statement, recapping your team's most recent outing versus Grambling State.
Yeah, we had to go on the road, play Grambling. We knew they was a well-coached football team that's going to play hard. Very physical team.
I think we might be having some technical difficulties there with Coach Maynard's connection. We'll try to get him logged back in. We'll be back momentarily. Thank you for your patience.
Sorry about that, Andrew.
Yes, sir.
Sorry about that. That was
no problem. No problem.
I'm on my phone, and that was Tiger Woods. I told him I'm on a Zoom, man. Don't call me when I'm on the Zoom.
No problem. Appreciate you logging back in. You can go ahead and continue there with your opening statement.
Yes, sir. We knew it was going to be a in-conference battle on the road at Grambling, hostile environment, well-coached football team that plays hard. And so we was prepared, and we went down. And also, it was the best part of the whole thing was Doug Williams and Shaq Harris. The field was being named after those guys. So we was able to be down there and be in attendance when Doug Williams and Shaq Harris football field has been named at Grambling University. It's a great honor and tradition. Two trailblazers that paved the way for HBCUs, not only quarterbacks, for all players. And it was just an honor for me personally to be there and witness that. And I got a chance to talk to Doug and Shaq, and it was just a great venue, great honor. And it was homecoming. So back to the football game, great game. We both kind of got to a slow start, and then we got it going offensively. 17-17 at halftime, got a great football game. Come out the second half and continue that way. Both teams scored, and then we kicked off, and they ran it all the way back to like the 15-yard line. The kicker made the saving tackle, and it wound up being big because on fourth down they missed a short field goal, and then we kind of grabbed the momentum back and went down and scored, and then we just made a couple more plays there in late in the third quarter and the fourth quarter than they did, and was able to sneak out of town with a W. But he was doing a tremendous job with those guys down there, and they played us tough. And we just happy to get a win. It's hard to get wins, and it's even harder to get them on the road in the SWAC. So we was very pleased with the way my coaches coached and my players played this week.
Thank you so much for those opening comments, Coach Maynard. First question goes to Dr. Cavill.
This is Kenyatta Cavill, Dr. Cavill's inside the HBCU Sports Lab. You were able to run extremely effective in this matchup. I'm sure went into the game wanting to run, but did you have any indication that you'd be able to run this effective?
No, I did not. Because again, they got a good defense, and they're very stingy. We was able to get some quarterback runs on them, and that's the difference. It's hard to account for that quarterback, and that's what we was able to do. We was able to exploit the quarterback run game, and it was a couple different ways, and it wasn't the same way. It probably looked the same, but it was a couple different plays that we was able to do it, and we were just pleased to be able to do it and control the ball and keep the offense off the field because they were scoring, as I say, 17-17 at halftime. So we wanted to continue to run the ball and try to keep the ball away from them.
Certainly. Follow-up question: as you go into the bye week, What is your assessment of your defensive side of the ball for the first half of the season, if you would?
Not quite where we wanted to be, but it's improving every week, and we got a chance. When those guys play the defense called and responsible football, we're not bad over there. But when we start being undisciplined and penalties or busting coverages or getting out of our lanes, we're not very good over there. But when we do what we're supposed to do, we're okay. They give us a chance to compete and have a chance to win a football game, which we played a lot better the second half. And we caused some turnovers, which, Grambling hadn't been turning the ball over all year. I think they had 3 all year. 2 of them came in the game before we played them. So we knew they was stingy on offense and no one turned the ball over. So we knew we had to be solid and try to force some turnovers. And we was able to get a couple. So that helped us out tremendously. But I think the defense is coming along. And as long as we do what we're supposed to, we have a chance.
Certainly, Coach. Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations on the big, tough road win.
Thank you, Doc.
Next question goes to Henry Pugh.
Hey, good morning, Coach Maynard. How are you doing?
I'm going good, Henry. How you doing?
Doing well. I know a lot of times when, especially games are played, the history of the moment doesn't necessarily grab you guys. It's the last thing on your mind. But this is only the second all-time win for A&M at Grambling. Has that set in or have the players realized that or the mindset behind it?
No, it hasn't. We take them one at a time and we just try to go get them when we can get them. We really don't look at that because that's something we can't control. If we'd have won the last 10 there, or we lost the last 10, that don't have any effect on us. We got to go try to win this football game the week that we're playing it. So, no, not really.
All right. And a follow-up, Coach. Now you have the big matchup, the Magic City Classic coming up. As you guys prepare for that and have your bye, is there something in particular that you're looking at from last year's matchup that you want to take advantage of this year, or some plays you feel like you may have left out on the field?
No, we always, every game, you always think you left a couple plays out there. You always going to leave plays out there that could have been made, that was there to be made. It wasn't offensively, defensively, and special teams. So we can't worry about that. We just got to get the stuff corrected. We'll watch last year's film, but we're going to watch this year's film because, with the portal and all the new players and people playing different positions, we got to see what they're doing this year. And, because you could change up a little bit from last year, so we'll watch that tape, but we'll watch more of what they've done this year so far and make our game plan from there.
All right. Congratulations on a big win, Coach.
Thanks, sir.
Next question goes to Ms. Stapleton.
Thank you so much. Thank you for taking my question, Coach. This is Timona from She Loves the podcast.
Okay.
I wanted to congratulate you on your big win and, spoiling Grambling's homecoming. Can you talk a little bit about your decision to switch to Xavier Langford basically as your QB1 and his efficiency with he rushed for 193 yards and had 2 touchdowns and then 127 yards passing with 1 touchdown and 1 interception. Can you talk a little bit about your change to Langford?
Yeah, Quincy had played well for two straight weeks, really 3 weeks where we lost one of them. And, but, we thought, Xavier started at the beginning of the season. So he was our starter at the beginning. And then he had a knee injury and Quincy had to step in. But Quincy was playing so well, we decided to keep starting him. And then when he didn't have a good start at the Jackson State game, we pulled him and went with Xavier. And Xavier played well and got us back in the game. And so we went back with Xavier this week. We think we got 2 guys that either one of those guys played, they give us a chance to win the football game. So if one of them is not meant, if he's just not focused and playing very well, we don't have a problem just going with the other guy because we know that guy can come in and help us win the football game. We're going to play whoever we think gives us the best chance to win the football game.
Thank you for that. And then as a follow-up question, there's a lot of SWAC play left this season, and all of your opponents are in the SWAC East. Can you talk a little bit about your mindset of the players as well as your coaches week to week and what you guys are doing to get through the season with a strong finish?
Yeah, you know, we're at the point where we just got to take care of A&M right now. We control what we can control, and that's one game at a time. So we got an off week this week. We're gonna rest up a little bit, get some treatment, get to class, and then get ready next week for the Classic and Alabama State. Coach Robinson is doing a tremendous job with those guys. They coming off a big victory, and so they kind of in the same boat with us. They need to win out and control what they can control. We just got to take it one game at a time. It's a tough division. Anybody can beat anybody in our division. So we got to stay focused every week and try to win out and see where the cookies crumble.
Last question goes to Michael Jefferson.
Good morning, Coach. This is Michael Jefferson with Block Sports.
Yes, sir.
Congratulations again on a great win.
Thank you.
But one of the things I've been noticing is that A&M seems that you guys are great in the second half. What do you attribute that to in terms of just being able to come out in that second half with making all of your adjustments?
Well, you know, I always say that it ain't rocket science. Don't try to reinvent the wheel. We're going to play to our strengths and the defense weaknesses. We go in there with a game plan, what we think they're going to do to us, what they've been doing to other people. And sometimes they don't do that. Sometimes they play us different. And it depends on those guys, how they look at our guys, what they think they can do, what they think our strengths and our weaknesses are. So they might play us a different way than they played the opponent before. So we might have one game plan thinking that they're going to do this, and then they might not do it, or they might do some of it. And so then we just got to be ready to make adjustments. And so we got to see how they're playing us and what fronts they're giving us to what formations and what coverages to what formations. And then we make adjustments.
Yes, sir. Well, congratulations on a big win against Grambling, and looking forward to seeing you the rest of the year. Thanks, Coach.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you.
Coach Maynard, as always, we appreciate your time. Look forward to speaking to you again next week.
All right. Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Absolutely. Next, we'll go to Alabama State and Head Coach Robinson. Once again, for all of our media, if you do have questions, please utilize the raise your hand feature to get your question in the queue for our coaches. With that being said, so happy to be joined by Coach Robinson with Alabama State. Coach, first and foremost, thank you for taking some time out of your schedule to join us. If you could please just start us out with an opening statement recapping this past week's outing at Jackson State.
Yep. Good morning. Was able to go down to Jackson State, get a tough victory. Like all the coaches say on the call, we all know it's tough to win in the conference. It's tough to win on the road. It was Jackson State's homecoming, so that made it a little bit extra. Had the kids drive up so they could see all the people out there. I told them it was going to be a Magic City Classic type atmosphere, and it was. The fans really came out. Had a lot of Alabama State people came. Of course, we brung the band, the Mighty Marching Hornets. So it was just a great day for a SWAC football game. We wanted to get off to a good start. We was able to take a shot deep early on with Keyshawn Johnson, ended up with a field goal. And then we was able to put another touchdown on. So we were up 10-0 and things were going pretty well. Of course, Jackson State came back 10-3, and then they had a tough quarterback run that was like right before the half, tied up at 10-10 at the half. And so coming out in the third quarter, I thought they really came back to establish the run, which, we talk about Brown and all the great things he does from the passing game, but they were really good running the football team at running the football. So I think a big difference was, Mulligan was a kid that we were all worried about, and he had an ankle injury, and I hope he's okay, but he wasn't able to finish the game. So I think that really kind of changed things around a little bit. 21 came in and ran the ball really well also in 27. So just kind of going back and forth. Teams played hard. We were able to get a score, a couple quick passes, got us down the field pretty quick, and got a lead. And then, of course, Jackson State came back. They had a big play at the end and drove down the field, got all the way down to the 10-yard line. And we was able just to hang on. It was one of those games that you knew was going to come down to the last couple plays of the game, and it did. So I think both teams played extremely hard. Coach Taylor had his guys ready to go. And fortunately, we were able to come out there with a victory to get us back to 3-3 and 2-2 in the conference. So definitely needed a win. And so just really proud of the kids and the coaches with the effort they put forward.
Appreciate those opening comments, Coach. First question goes to Michael Jefferson.
Good morning, Coach. This is Michael Jefferson with Block Sports. It's great to see you. As you know, my alum. And but I tell you what, Coach, great win this past weekend. But the one thing I have to say is that the games that you guys lost, you guys were not able to pull the games out in the fourth quarter. Even though Jackson State was able to come back, you were able to hold out and be able to pull out that victory. What do you attribute this to? Do you attribute to last year's trying to get back and say, okay, you spoiled our homecoming, now we're going to do the same to you? Or was it just, you know what, we got to hang on and we have to pull this victory out?
Yeah, I don't think anybody, including myself, was worried about last year. You know, last year was last year. We were just trying to beat the 2023 version of Jackson State, and they were trying to beat the 2023 version of Alabama State. And I think that's how it went. As far as the end of the game, we practice that all the time. You know, the last three, last two, last one. We saw, you know, end of the game play the night before. So we knew that, you know, some of those situations we always talk about, knocking the ball down, those type of things. You just really have to execute. And, you know, they had time on their side because they still had like 1:50 seconds. And so they still had a lot of time to drive down the field in that 2-minute drive to get in. And then, so it was just one of those things where you just got to really focus. We had that same situation against Alcorn. We weren't able to deliver, and they was able to get the game in the overtime, and we lost. And so week after week, we've been in that same situation. I think when we get to that 6-minute mark, that's one thing I'm going to stress to the team. And when we have a chance to really close out games, we have to close them out earlier so we don't have to, you know, get into those last type of end of game situations. But if it does and it happens, then as the defense, you have to be able to execute. So we were able to execute this week, and just fortunate that, you know, the ball went out of bounds and they didn't find a Jackson State receiver, and then we would have been on the other side of it, you know, losing on the last play of the game.
Yeah, even though you gave up 400 yards of total offense, your defense was still able to get the right plays. So what did you see that you could do to a Jackson State team and be successful?
I think the biggest thing for me, you have to stop the running game. I mean, you saw the way they ran the football the last couple of weeks. They have some dangerous running backs, Mulligan and those guys. And so you have to stop the running game. And so they're smart enough coaches. If we wouldn't have stopped the running game, they would have kept running the whole game. So I think getting those turnovers, when they did run the football, we was able to get some key turnovers, guys actually, you know, forcing fumbles and those type of situations. So those 3 turnovers really helped us. Of course, you know, we threw 2 interceptions, but I think it started with the running game, and then Brown, you know, he's a good quarterback. He's going to find some guys, a lot of dangerous receivers. You know, they have a lot of guys that you have to tackle on. We missed a lot of tackles, but I thought we did a great job of running to the football with a lot of effort. So when one guy missed a tackle, we had 2 more guys there. I think, you know, one of the best plays to me, I think their kid 21 hurdled somebody on our sideline, which was a great play by him. But then we had 2 or 3 more guys to make the tackle. So we know they have a lot of good athletes on the field, a lot of good athletes in the conference. You know, one guy's not going to be able to make a tackle, but great effort. Everybody running to the football is how you win.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. And again, great win this past weekend and much success for next week.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Next question goes to Henry Pugh.
Good morning, Coach. How you doing?
Doing well. How's it going?
Going well. Going well. Probably not as well as you guys, but going well. This season, you guys have had trouble in the red zone, but this game didn't seem to have those same troubles. Defense gave you guys a short field a lot of times. Can you just talk about I guess, any changes made that help with that red zone efficiency?
Yeah, I think for us, we still had one where we got down to the 10-yard line and ended up turning a turnover. The biggest thing, I think our kicker, Jaden John, he's really coming into his own now. He had a rough start early on. So I think when you're a play caller and you're thinking my kicker just missed a 25-yarder, now you start pressing to try to score touchdowns as opposed to realizing I can always take those 3 points. But I think it makes it a little bit easier when you feel like the kicking game can help you out. So we just have to execute better. We're able to run the football down there. The quarterback had a good run down in the red zone, but that's something that we have to improve on. We did better at it this week, but you want to be 100% scores in the red zone, whether it's touchdowns or field goals. And that's something that for us to win and to keep winning and have a successful end of the season, that we have to get better on week to week.
All right, Coach. And next, you've got the Magic City Classic coming up. After, you know, both teams are coming off big wins, spoiling homecomings, and then you've got this bye week before, you know, building yourself back up. Is this emotional roller coaster, I guess, beneficial with the bye week and everything, or is it better to kind of calm down and get yourself refocused?
I think the Magic City Classic is the classic. It would matter if we were 6-0 or 0-6. I think both teams are ready for this game. It's probably, to me, one of the best games in all of college football. And so we'll be ready. They'll be ready. We'll know what each other has to do. And it's going to be a kid that we probably never heard of that's going to make a great play. It's that type of game. And so you just look forward to coaching in it. I love playing in it. And so, we just get excited about it. From an injury standpoint, we have a couple guys that got banged up. It was a really physical game against Jackson. So for us, I think the bye week, just from a health standpoint, is going to help us out.
All right. Thank you, Coach. Have a good day.
Yep. Thank you.
Next question goes to Dr. Cavill.
Kenyatta Cavill, Dr. Cavill's inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Good morning, Coach Roberts.
Good morning. How's it going?
It's going well, going well. I was able to watch the game streaming wise. One thing that I pulled out of the stats is just how effective you all were in terms of rushing the ball. Obviously, 150 total yards on 31 carries. But with that said, you spread the ball. It just wasn't one person attacking. Obviously, Howe was effective in terms of yards per carry. I mean, at 7.8, it was only 6 attempts, 47 yards, and even your quarterback Stewart was able to pull it down and get some big rushing yards at 8.3. Can you talk about the effectiveness of spreading the ball around in terms of your various running back and your quarterback being able to get in there and being effective at key moments, pulling the ball down and getting some key yards?
Yeah, we have some guys that can really tote it. We want to be able to run the football. What's the number? We don't have a number per se, but obviously if the running game's working, we're going to stick with it. And I think the way we play defense, we don't want our defense out there for 80 or 85 plays. And it was the goal of ours to try to control the clock and to try to keep Jackson State's offense off the field. So many, they were averaging 80 to 85 plays a game. And it's hard. You get guys out there for that long. Defensively, you're going to give up some plays. So we want to use running the football to control the clock. And we have a different variety of backs. I think each back has a different skill set. Some are a little bit bigger, more physical. Other guys are quicker, more agile. So we try to, use those backs in different situations. And we know it's a running back by committee. But in the end of the day, as a team, we know we have to run the football, control the clock. Don't let our defense get a lot of reps on them, and they can play fast for the whole game.
Thank you, Coach. Congratulations on the tough road victory.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, we'll take one final quick question from Ms. Stapleton. I think you might be on mute there. We can't hear you. Yeah, it looks like your line's unmuted. We just can't hear you. Yeah, I think there might be something with the connection. For some reason, we can't hear you. Okay, no problem. Thank you. Coach Robinson, thank you so much for your time. We look forward to speaking to you again next week.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll go to Alcorn State, head coach McNair. Once again, if you do have any questions for our coaches, please utilize the raise your hand feature to get your question in the queue for our coaches. Please limit your question to one initial question, potentially a follow-up question. If we've got additional time allotted, we'll work our way back to get additional questions answered. So happy to be joined by Coach McNair with Alcorn State. Coach, first and foremost, thanks to take some time to join us. If you could please start us out just by recapping this past week.
It was a bye week for us. I got a chance to get some of the guys healthy and in terms of where we was at with our injuries. Of course, getting an update from the midterm grades and making sure the guys are doing what they're supposed to do in the classroom. So I'm very excited about the work that we got in on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Gave the kids Friday and Saturday, and came back this Sunday and worked out yesterday and got a good work in. And so in preparation for the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff. So good week for us to get prepared for a great football team. We got to travel to Arkansas to play those guys. So we're very excited about the trip we're going to take to Arkansas and play against a good football program.
Appreciate those opening comments. Coach, we'll now open up for questions for Coach McNair. Once again, if you do have a question, please utilize the raise your hand feature to get your question in the queue for Coach. Floor is now open for questions for Coach McNair. First question goes to Tanner Spearman.
Hey, Coach. Good morning. Tanner Spearman with the Pine Bluff Commercial. Obviously, going on the road to play UAPB for their homecoming this week. I know you've been around the conference for a minute, so you know what a SWAC homecoming can be like. what are you expecting in terms of an environment and an atmosphere, and how do you prepare your players for that going on the road against a team that's pretty desperate for a win?
Just like any other game, I think that the approach to be to make sure the guys are very settled in and understand what we got to do to win a football game, because every week from here on out, it's a championship game for us. You know, we have one loss in the conference, and to stay in the hunt, we have to win. So in preparation, we always talk about the next game, and you know, going into a homecoming week, you know, people take it very serious when you when you schedule a team on their homecoming. We just come off one playing Grambling here on our homecoming, so I know how it could be in terms of teams playing each other on homecoming. So how personal it can get. But our guys are used to it. We done played many teams on their homecoming in the past. So just being able to go and play a good football team that Coach Hampton got these guys be ready for. In terms of what we got to do to come out with a victory, we got to make sure we play solid on all phases of the game.
Thanks, Coach.
Next question goes to Mr. Snyder.
Yes, good morning. Coach, I was looking at the performance of your quarterback, and looks like over the last 4 games, he's been progressing nicely, over 65% completion percentage, thrown for over 300 yards, a couple of times, over 250 yards, another, only 2 interceptions. Can you explain like how he's progressing, or describe his progression as the season's been going forward, and what you see there?
Yeah, compared to what it was last year, I think he's made some giant steps in preparation. And I think that due to Coach Phillips, the quarterback coach, and getting him prepared to play the football game on Saturday, all through the week. So I think that his progression has been very good for us. It helped us out a lot in a lot of games, because people are tending to stack the box on us and make sure we don't run the football on them. And so we have to be able to throw the ball around. So if the team continue to do that, I'm so glad that he's able to sling it around the yard and find different receivers. He's not just only one guy. We have several guys that can catch the ball. And so that'll pose a threat to some teams that tends to stack the box on us and not allow us to run. So he's going to throw the ball around. So we're going to be prepared to do whatever it takes to win a football game. Our coaching staff does a real good job of game planning offensively in terms of what we got to do to win football games. So whatever it takes, that's what we're going to do. And I'm just grateful that he's doing the job he's doing compared to what he's been doing, what he did last year. He made some giant steps, and I'm very proud of the young man of the way he's been playing this year.
And also going to a 1-5 team, how worried are you about complacency or overconfidence when your guys look at Pine Bluff's record and think that it'll be an easy win?
No, on yesterday's, I talked to the young men about the records, and I kind of emphasized on Sunday game, because we practice Sunday afternoon at 6. So I kind of emphasized on things that happened during the course of the NFL games that day. You know, the San Francisco 49ers losing, then the Philadelphia Eagles losing. So on any given day, you know, anybody can get beaten. This is a great conference, man, and you can't go to sleep on nobody. It's not a marked win for nobody these days here in this conference. So you got to be prepared. 0-5, 0-6, it doesn't matter. You got to prepare yourself to play a 60-minute ball game and play real hard on all phases of it. So you know, the record doesn't matter. The record's out the window. You know, once you play on a team, the record don't really matter to us. We just got to make sure that we taking care of our business as Alcorn brand of football, and that's playing hard and playing for 60 full minutes.
Thank you.
Currently taking questions for Coach McNair with Alcorn State. Final questions for Coach. Coach, as always, we appreciate your time. We look forward to speaking to you again next week.
All right, thank you, guys.
Appreciate it. Thank you. We're a few minutes ahead of schedule for Bethune-Cookman. We'll be back momentarily. Once again, for our media participants, if you do have any questions for our coaches, please utilize the raise your hand feature to get your question in the queue for our coaches. Please limit your questions to one initial question, potentially a follow-up question. If we have additional time allotted in our coaches' availability, we will work our way back to get additional questions answered. All right, time is now 10:35 Central, and we will go to Bethune-Cookman head coach, Coach Woody. First and foremost, Coach, thank you so much for taking some time to join us. Coach, if you could please start us out with an opening statement recapping your team's most recent outing versus Texas Southern.
Well, I tell you what, we ended up starting, a little slow. We had some costly, takeaways that we talk about we can't have, and Texas Southern ended up, edging it at the end. But we did score points, and obviously we made a step in the right direction on that standpoint. But definitely need to secure the ball, and that's the basic fundamentals that we have to work on.
Thank you so much for those opening comments, Coach. First question goes to Jim Kleinpeter.
Hi, Coach. Would you talk about the status of your quarterback position? Looks like you're playing two guys, and Luke played the majority of the time last week.
Yes.
Game.
What's that, Jim?
Yeah, I'm saying Luke played the majority of the time in the last game, but just where the status of that is right now.
Well, Luke, he's a fighter. Obviously, going into this past week, we didn't know either way, how strong he was going to be, and he ended up tailing in latter during the week, saying that he was, able and ready to play. I mean, we still going to have competition, and these guys know, every day, with that position in all positions, those guys going to compete, and that's what we're looking at, and he's going to be ready to compete along with the others.
What does each quarterback give you specifically with talents, abilities?
Well, obviously, Luke and Tyleek, they're similar. I mean, they could, in my opinion, make the necessary throws, throughout the game, and then throughout the things that we want to do on offense. Our dual threat guy, Walt, I mean, he actually, extend a lot of, plays with his feet, so we have those guys, it's kind of been up and down, with the injury bug, but those are the skill sets of the three.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The question goes to Perry Daniels.
Morning, Coach.
Good morning.
Yes, sir. So you have Southern University coming into town. What do you expect out of the Jaguars?
Well, I tell you, Coach D, he does a really good job. I mean, they got a really, good football team season. I mean, they play really well on all aspects, and I definitely we're gonna have to have, a really solid game on all three aspects, to be in it. I mean, they're a really good football team.
Is there a particular area that you look to attack or something from your game plan offensively that you think you may be able to exploit on theirs?
Well,
in their defense?
Well, they're solid. I mean, they're not giving up a lot of points. I mean, we just got to make sure that when we do get the positive plays, I mean, we continue those positive plays, whether it's run or pass, and just take care of the ball. I mean, because, at the end of the day, you got to be sound in blocking, got to be sound in running, throwing and catching, the ball, and those basic fundamentals. If we just do that, we'll have a good chance.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Okay, another question from Jim Kleinpeter.
Yeah, Coach, the game being moved to Jacksonville, is that a big inconvenience for y'all, or is it, are you trying to play it to your players as a positive experience playing in a pro stadium and that type of thing?
Well, that's what is to me, I mean, wherever we play, you know, if it's not that far from where we're at, so we just got to go and block out all of the things, because at the end of the day, the schedule was made, you know, when I got hired. So, I mean, we're going to play wherever we're asked to play, and we're going to do our very best.
Next question goes to Mr. Snyder.
Yes, good morning. Coach, 3 games, 3 defeats by 14 points total. You guys are coming very close. I was wondering psychologically, when you're that close, but you don't get the W. I know there are no moral victories. How do you balance the fact that you guys are that close and you're not still getting the W, and keeping the guys encouraged to keep on fighting?
Well, you know, one thing, a good thing is, you know, the guys, you know, they come to work and go to work, and we tell them all the time, it's going to come down to the basic technique and fundamentals. And like I said before, you know, just 14-point swing. We had that big, they had a big takeaway on us, and we can't give the ball away. And those things that, you know, we definitely can get better on, you know, and that's coaching, that's teaching. And, you know, we tell the guys, and they see it, and they stay encouraged. And like I said, just keeping these guys understanding that, man, you know, you got to love each other. You love each other. It's hard to let your teammates down, and then those type of things that we preach to them, and it's good that they see it. And as coaches, you know, we see it, and it just makes it better even to come back to practice and work on those details, so those details won't come back to haunt us again.
Okay, and can you see any difference in the team since you guys have been able to practice on the new practice facility?
Well, it's more convenience, and the kids seem like they're more you know, they're more energized, because obviously, you know, you get more rest, and the guys excited to call this practice field their own. You know, it's on campus, and anytime it's on campus, you know, it's not in comparison to where we go every day back and forth. Municipal Stadium is not as long, and it's a really good situation for us, because you can see those guys when they go out on the practice field, how excited they are in their eyes, just to know that, hey, you know what, we got our own practice field now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next question goes to Jim Kleinpeter.
Yeah, Coach, looks like Jimmy Robinson kind of stepped up for y'all last week. Can you talk a little bit about his development, and what was that breakout all about, 98 yards?
He's a tough, I call him an old school player. I mean, he's the oldest on the team, and he does it the right way. And you know, when you look at him, you say, hey, you know what? You know, that guy, he's just an average player, but he's not. He has a big heart. I mean, he loves playing the game. Really proud of his performance. I mean, he has that grit, you know, that you can't teach, you know. And I mean, it's hard to stop an individual with the grit, you know. They're going to keep plugging until they get what they want, and he's that type of player.
Is there a Southern player or two that has stood out to you on film that you've seen?
Well, I said it before earlier. I mean, you know, they got receivers. I mean, the quarterback. I mean, they on both sides of the ball, man, they play hard. I mean, they're a good, really good football team. I mean, as a group, you know, they look the part, they play the way they look, and Coach does a great job with those guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have any final questions for Coach Woody with Bethune-Cookman? All right, last question goes to Dr. Cavill.
Kenyatta Cavill, Dr. Cavill's inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Wanted to get a little evaluation defense. In a lot of ways, they've been pretty effective. Maybe as the game gets going down, sometimes they might give up a couple of plays here and there. But for the most part, particularly in this last matchup, they held Texas Southern to 4 of 11 on third downs in terms of the efficiency. Talk about how you feel your defense is coming to play.
You know what? You know, just, you know, looking at our defense, they're coming along. You know, they play hard, you know, at certain positions, not as big in stature, but You know, they run to the ball. They're so driven by getting better every day. I mean, those guys just love being around them. And the big thing is, you know, we got to stop the explosive plays. You know, we can't give up those plays. It's going to, you know, come back to hurt us. You know, when you're playing against a tempo team, sometimes we go tempo. We got to be used to that, and we got to line up. And that's the first thing, you know, the 5 A's, alignment, assignment, adjustment, alerts. And we got to make sure we're on point anytime we line up, because, you know, even if they know that you're in a certain defense, we still want to make sure we're gap sound in the thing. In several games, you know, it's been that one play, you know, that, and then being able to get off on third down, you know, we got to be able to do that. And when you clean up those things, you know, we'll even be better.
Thank you, Coach. Look forward to the matchup. Good luck this weekend.
Yeah, thank you.
Coach, we sincerely appreciate your time. Look forward to speaking to you again next week.
Yes, sir. Thank you all.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Next up, we'll go to Florida A&M. Coach Willie Simmons. If you do have any questions for Coach, please utilize the raise your hand feature to get your question in the queue. Please limit your questions to one initial question, potentially a follow-up question. If we've got a lot of time, we'll work our way back to get additional questions answered. With that being said, Coach, thank you so much for taking time to join us. Coach, if you could, please just start us out with an opening statement recapping this past week.
Well, obviously, we had a much-needed bye week, allowed us to have a chance to get healthier, and work on some fundamentals that we needed to improve upon. So I thought it was a productive week. Got rained out one of the days, but just gave the guys a little bit more rest to get their legs fresh. So excited to be back on the grass this week. Huge opportunity to head down to Houston and play a Texas Southern team that's hot. They won the last 2 games. So we got to get ready to play, hopefully a complete game, and get ready to go down and go to a hostile environment where it should be a great one.
Appreciate those opening comments, Coach. First question goes to Dr. Cavill.
Kenyatta Cavill, Dr. Cavill's inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Good morning, Coach Simmons.
Hey, good morning, Doc.
Obviously, last week you had the off week after a tough emotional victory. Can you talk a little bit about your evaluation on what you believe you were able to get done during the bye week? Open date, I should say.
Right. Again, the main thing we wanted to do was get caught up academically. We missed some classes because of some travel. So I thought the guys, did a good job of that. And then want to get healthy. We do have some guys that have been banged up over the first 6 weeks. And so got a chance to get them rested and take a little bit of banging off of them. And we think we'll get a few of those guys back this week. Again, work on some fundamentals. There have been some things the first 5 games that we've seen, first 6 games that we've seen that have taken away some opportunities to have some explosives in all 3 phases. So wanted to clean those things up. And then lastly, it gave us a chance to get out on the road and do some recruiting. And I thought that was productive. So all in all, I thought it was a productive bye week. And, but we'll find out this week of how much better of a football team we are this Saturday than we were 2 weeks ago.
Certainly, let me be the first to say, welcome back to Texas. Hopefully it'll be a hostile environment. With that being said, always good to see you in these parts. But you're coming into Texas Southern University, as you said, to Houston. You're familiar with these parts, but you'll be facing a quarterback, different quarterback in Chase. They've been with Texas Southern Tigers pretty effective in terms of what they're being able to do, even with the change of quarterbacks. But with Ladarius, the running back, they'll be balanced as well. What do you think in terms of Texas Southern, the Tigers, and what they've been able to do with their offensive side of the ball?
Well, that's been Coach McKinley's, he cut his teeth as an offensive coach. And so we expect them to be explosive and spread us out, try to create some mismatches. We've given up a few plays in the past game. So we got to be better in that. We've been really good against the run, but we have probably our toughest challenge this week. We had 190-some yards last week. And again, when they spread you out like they do and try to create creases, we got to do a great job up front. So have our hands full. Obviously, they're kind of figuring themselves out offensively after not having, Bodie. But once you get your quarterback and get them settled, now you can get in the rhythm. And they've found their rhythm over the last couple of weeks.
Thank you, Coach. Look forward to the matchup and hope to see you post-game for the interview.
Thanks, Doc. And I'll be waiting on my steak.
I'll bring it with me.
Next question goes to Dwayne Nash.
Good morning, Coach. Dwayne Nash from the Yard HBCU Sports and Hero Sports. How are you this morning?
I'm good, Dwayne. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. First off, I would be remiss if I didn't wish you a happy belated birthday, being that my birthday is on the 11th, yours is on the 12th. Thought I'd go ahead and say happy birthday to you. And you said just a little while ago that you guys are working on the fundamentals. I'm going to take a stab at it and guess that those fundamentals are probably working on penalties, being that you guys are probably one of the more penalized teams in the conference.
Well, yes and no. The penalties that we focus on aren't fundamental. They're just discipline. And so,
Okay.
you know, false starts, illegal procedures, late hits, those type things, those aren't fundamental penalties. Those are penalties that show a lack of concentration. And so that's a personal thing that we got to address. Guys got to dial in and pay more attention to detail with the snap count, with our formations, with their alignments and things of that nature. So I don't think you fix those on a bye week. I think you fix those just in how you approach discipline with your football team. The fundamental things we're talking about are communication, again, up front, making sure that we're IDing the right guy in the run game, running backs, knowing who we're sorting to in protection to know where their eyes need to be, receivers, route depth, catching the football, defensively, tackling. I mean, those are the things obviously fundamentally that we stressed last week. The penalties, again, those are things that we got to definitely take care of as far as our discipline goes.
Okay. Thanks so much, Coach. Good luck this week.
Appreciate it.
All right.
Next question goes to Brandon King.
All right. Good morning, Coach. How you doing?
Hey, good morning, Brandon.
All right. Just obviously, FAMU was one of the schools, the myriad of schools that was named in the letters that were sent out that were underfunded by the federal government, somewhere to the tune of nearly $2 billion. With obviously the comments of Coach George a couple weeks ago, made the rounds. As your school is in a similar situation in terms of being underfunded by the state, what are your thoughts on that particular situation?
Yeah, I think every state-funded HBCU can make that argument. We've been in existence for 130 plus years, and I think when you add those numbers up, they're pretty significant. And we've been able to thrive, considering that we've been underfunded. But again, it's a fight that we're constantly tackling. Our alum, our administration, we're not short on letters to the board of regents and the people who are stakeholders. And so I think it's well chronicled now, and hopefully it'll lead to us getting our just due. I do remember my time at Prairie View that a similar fight was made, and they were able to win some things and allow them to be in a better position. So we've done some great things with less than. So just imagine how amazing these schools will be if we got the funding that made us a little more equitable with our white PWI counterparts.
Have you been asked to kind of speak out or lend your voice to the fight to get FAMU what they're rightfully owed?
No, I haven't, but we have enough people that are fighting that fight. My fight is trying to get funded for the athletic program. So I got enough to ask to make sure that we're up, because as a state funded school, we can't utilize any state funds towards athletic facilities. So, we got to make sure that we take care of that on our end. But we do have enough people that are fighting for our equal pay or share as far as state appropriation.
Thanks for the insight, Coach, and good luck this weekend.
Thank you.
Next question goes to Charles Bishop.
Hey, Coach, how you doing?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
Doing well. A couple quick questions I want to ask you. Your defense is one of the best in the SWAC at stopping the run. But what is the uniqueness that Ladarius Owens brings to the field in regards to trying to stop this Texas Southern offense?
Well, you got to gang tackle him. He does a great job of making the first guy miss, and he runs hard. And so it's going to take more than one guy to typically bring him down. So we definitely have our hands full. It's a great challenge for our defense, but no, he is a very dynamic guy that can make that first guy miss. And as a running back, that's a great quality.
looks to be the longest trip of the season thus far for FAMU. Is there any unique challenges that comes with going to Houston this upcoming weekend?
Well, fortunately, we're flying to this one. The longest trip was up the Beta. That was a bus ride. But we'll fly to this one, so we should get there in plenty of time to get settled. And we have plans to go to the Buffalo Soldier Museum, which I always want to try to do something educational for the guys. And obviously, the Buffalo Soldiers did some amazing things. So I think it'll be a great trip for us, and looking forward to getting down to Houston. And I'm gonna try my best to stay with the team. You know, I might remember some of my old stomping grounds get lost, but no, I'll behave myself this weekend.
Looking forward to you coming over, Coach.
Thanks, brother. See you.
Sure thing.
Coach, as always, we appreciate your time. Look forward to speaking to you again next week.
Thank you, guys. Have a great week.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Next up, we will go to Grambling State. Coach Jackson. You see that we have Coach there with us. Once again, if you do have any questions for Coach, please utilize your Zoom or raise your hand feature on Zoom to get your question in the queue. With that being said, happy to be joined by Coach Jackson with Grambling State. Coach, if you could please start us out with an opening statement, recapping your team's most recent outing versus Alabama A&M.
Absolutely. It was really disappointing outing for us. Very humbling. We didn't play as well as a football team and got beat here at home in front of family and friends and supporters. So we're really disappointed about that. But we're going to take this bye and regroup and get ready for Bethune-Cookman coming up 2 weeks from now.
Thank you so much for those opening comments. Coach, first question goes to Perry Daniels.
Hey, Coach, I know you're not one to make excuses, but can you talk about how the homecoming event or festivities may have affected your team's play this week?
I kind of lost you there. Can you say that one more time? I'm sorry.
Absolutely. So it was homecoming week for the Tigers, and I'm wondering if that affected your team in any way in its play on the field Saturday.
I don't think so. No, sir. Every day we talked about eliminating distractions. I don't think that had anything to do with it. I think Alabama A&M affected our strategy, our game on Saturday. They played really well and we didn't. So that's just being very transparent about that.
Absolutely. I appreciate that transparency, Coach. Let's talk about the penalties. And your team is a heavily penalized team. How do you go about correcting that?
Discipline. I mean, and it's there's some that, I send in and we get different opinions about. That's some of it too. But at the same time, we don't have officials at practice. We don't have those type of resources. So we as coaches got to do a better job of making sure all the little handsy things that go on, everything that we can correct as a football staff, that we really take our antennas and put them up extremely high, because it's really starting to affect our football team in a negative way.
Thank you, Coach. Enjoy the bye week.
Next question goes to Dr. Cavill.
Kenyatta Cavill, Dr. Cavill's inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Good morning, Coach Jackson.
Good morning.
Alabama A&M, obviously, as you saw from the stats and during the game, I'm sure you seeking to make adjustments. They were able to get 330 plus yards rushing on you, and the quarterback was really effective on just 16 carries. Can you talk about either during the game adjustments you were trying to make, or post game when you brought the film of where they seemed to be pretty effective in terms of being able to pick up those yards running?
No, I think, no doubt. No, we tried to make adjustments. The adjustments, it didn't matter. I'm just being very open about that. The young man ran football. We did not tackle him very well, because you can make all the adjustments you want, but if you don't get the guy on the ground, it doesn't matter. He broke tackles. He ran by us. He ran through us. He had his way, and that's something we have to improve on this week.
As you get into an open week, can you talk about the way that you approach an open week? Is it an analysis, or is it about going back, as you said, maybe to some fundamentals, trying to get some corrections in the open week?
It's a little bit of everything. I think the first thing we have to do is find out who we are again. I think we'll self-scout ourselves and kind of know what we've done well and what we haven't done well. And that'll lead us to things we need to improve on. And then I think it's really about going back to the fundamentals and making sure, because that's what football is. You got to be able to tackle, block, catch, run, throw, all those things. So we're going to spend some time doing that.
Yeah, I know oftentimes we do make it more complicated, but in a lot of ways, it's a pretty simple game.
Yes,
Appreciate
sir.
you breaking it down, and look forward to the following week when you get back into your matchups.
Thank you.
Next question goes to Ms. Stapleton. Sorry, we can't hear you. Okay, currently taking questions for Coach Jackson with Grambling State. Floor is open for questions. Any final questions for Coach? All right, we'll take a question from Jay Keith.
Hey, Coach, JT Keith with USA Today. Where do you think you're at in your progress for the last 2 years? Where do you think you're at right now?
I think we're a little bit behind. I expected our team to be in a little bit better shape, after 7 games. But, we got a chance to finish this thing strong. We got a quarter of the season left. We talked about that yesterday. I think we got a chance to really focus on these next 4 and see if we can win the West. I mean, that's what we're after. That's our goal. If we can get that done, I think we'll be where we need to be. If we don't, then I'll be very disappointed.
And follow up, do you think that you have a quarterback for the future on your roster right now going forward?
No doubt he's playing for us right now, every week.
Currently taking questions for Coach Jackson with Grambling State. Any final questions for Coach? All right, we'll take a question from Perry Daniels.
Coach, the field this week was named after Doug Williams and Shaq Harris. Can you just kind of talk about that whole aspect and what those two have meant to HBCU football and football in general?
Well, it's been that was phenomenal. I thought it was well deserved. You're talking about 2 of the greats that's played at Grambling, 2 men who made real impact also in the National Football League. And I think it's so important to recognize those people because they've done such a great job, not just on the field, but off the field as well. I think it's going to be important as we continue the history of the HBCUs to always point back to men like those 2 because they really started the pipeline. They were part of that real growth into the National Football League and really gave HBCUs a real name, a real place where people of color could go and play and feel like they had a chance to be everything they could be in the sport. So I think it was awesome. I think the environment was spectacular. I think what we did here this past weekend was great that way. We just need to give them a win behind it as well. We didn't.
No doubt.
Next question goes to Ms. Stapleton.
Hey, Coach, can you hear me this time?
Yes, I can.
Okay, how you doing?
Great.
Thank you for taking my question. It's Timona from She Loves the podcast. A tough loss for Grambling State during homecoming, but overall, your offense has been strong throughout the season, 2nd overall in the SWAC. And Miles Crawley has been the leader of the offense. He's consistently helped put up the numbers. So how do you go into the locker room and pull out some defensive leaders that can help with making those adjustments for the rest of the season? Because it seems like it's the defense that's struggling to pull out, what you need in order to win the game.
Well, I appreciate what you're saying. I kind of look at it a little bit differently. There's no question we need to get better on defense, but we also need to do more on offense. And you said it, Miles has done a sensational job, being just integrating himself into the culture, into our offense, leading the offense. But he also knows that he's also the leader of the team. So he's also part of the defense as well. He's got to go get those guys to go play for him, and so that he can get the ball back and continue to put up more points. So I think it first starts with our staff. I think we start there. Then I start with the defensive leaders, as you just mentioned, and we talk about the things we need to do better. And we go attack it, and we go put a huge focus on it. And I think you get what you emphasize. And so we're going to emphasize it and see if we can get it turned here this last quarter of the season.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Any final questions for Coach Jackson with Grambling State? Coach, as always, we appreciate your time. Look forward to speaking to you again next week.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Now go to Arkansas Pine Bluff. Coach Hampton, if you do have any questions, once again, please utilize the raise your hand feature to get your question in the queue for Coach. Please limit your question to one initial question, potentially a follow-up. If we've got additional time, we will work our way back to get additional questions answered. With that being said, Coach Hampton, thank you so much for taking some time to join us out of your schedule. If you could, please start us out with an opening statement, recapping your team's most recent outing versus Mississippi Valley State.
Obviously, very disappointing performance by our football team. We thought going into the game that we had a good game plan and we just didn't execute it. So we give Valley credit. They won the game. So now we just got to bounce back, get ready for the next game, homecoming this week.
Thanks so much for those comments, Coach. First question goes to Dr. Cavill.
Kenyatta Cavill, Dr. Cavill is inside the HBC Sports Lab. Coach Hampton, though, you sound disappointed in terms of what took place in that matchup. Stats-wise, and as you've seen, you were able to put up some yards, but weren't able to really turn it into points. Can you talk about your concern in terms of being able to put more points on the board?
I mean, yeah, obviously, like I said, man, I thought we had a really good game plan on defense, offense going into the game, and take the first drive down the field, and we missed a field goal. We've done that the last couple of weeks. We was in the red zone 3 times in the first quarter, went 1 for 3 on field goals. Couldn't punch the ball in, so that's frustrating. And then, you go in at half, you're down 14-3, and come back out, we get a stop. We score, make it 14-10, and they're driving. We punch the ball out with opportunity to fall on the ball. We don't. 2 plays later, we lose leverage, and they score and make it 21-10. And then they kick the ball off, and we throw an interception for a pick 6. So it's frustrating. But again, when you're building a program, it's part of it. It's part of the process. You got to be able to persevere. And like I said, I told the players, man, no man put his hand to the plow. You turn around and look back. You're not going to be fit. You're not going to be fit to win these games. All these games are tough. And right now we're not doing the things that's necessary to win football games. So that's what happened.
Follow up, you head back home. You have Alcorn State, the Braves, as you turn the chapter and get back into it of trying to correct those mistakes and do things, like you said, fundamentally sound. What do you look in terms of Alcorn? Traditionally, we think about the Braves of wanting to run the ball, but they haven't been able to be as successful running the ball, but they've been quite effective in the air. What are your concerns in terms of what they do offensively, of how you plan to attack them?
How we're playing attack, I mean, they're the best football team we played this year. Offensively, they throw the football well. We know the running back. I mean, that kid is tremendous. I mean, if they want to give it to him 40 times a game, I mean, he's that good. Their O-line is big. And let's be honest, everybody's talking about Jackson State and FAMU. Before Dion came to this league, Alcorn was a toast, right? And so Coach McNair has done a really good job. And so that football team over there, they're well coached on both sides of the football, special team wise. And as I told our coaching staff and I told our players on yesterday's meeting, we're playing the best football team that we've seen up to this point. And so that's hats off to Coach McNair. And like I told our coaches, we need to figure out what they're doing. We need to get some of the players they got, the way they look like a Power 5 football team on the O-line, D-line. That quarterback is really, really good. He knows where to go with the ball. He's not afraid of pressure. And so they've done a really good job, and I like his mannerisms. So Coach has done a good job with his program, and obviously I know Coach Said used to be the head coach here. I remember when I was a DB coach here, I used to go down and recruit when he was at Mississippi Delta. So they've done a good job. They got good coaches, they got good players, and they're doing it the right way. And so my hat's off to him. I got a lot of respect for him.
Thank you, Coach, for the insight. Certainly getting down there and doing the homework, as you always have done. Thanks for your insight, your keen insight. Good luck this weekend.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it.
Next question goes to Tanner Spearman.
Hey, good morning, Coach Hampton. Obviously, so far this season, you guys have been on the road a lot more than you've been at home, but you got your next 2 games at home, starting with homecoming this week. How excited are you guys to be back at home, and what kind of atmosphere do you hope to have for homecoming on Saturday?
Well, obviously, anytime you can play at home, you get excited about it. You got your fans, you got get a chance to just be around the atmosphere of homecoming, what it means to this university. We talk about just being able to connect with former players, former alumni. It means more, but obviously for us, it really has nothing to do with us. I like the atmosphere on Saturday, all that stuff leading up to it, but it's just a football game for us. I mean, to put the ball out there, you got to go play. So I'm happy. I know we're going to have a great crowd. And I tell people this, it's no crowd like a Pine Bluff homecoming crowd. Man, I don't even know if we're going to be able to get to the stadium. So we're going to have to get a lot of state troopers to get us here because, man, those turkey legs will be smoking away. Man, it's going to be rocking. So it'll be a great atmosphere, 2 good football teams. And we need to show up. And that's the bottom line. I mean, we need to put our big boy pants on. We're going to have to tackle that running back. We need to be able to get after that quarterback. And on offense, we need to be able to sustain drives. I mean, we're not doing a good enough job. Yeah, we had 400 yards, but it didn't feel like 400 yards. And so we got to do a better job of getting our guys ready to go and matching the intensity of the other teams.
And then, Coach, at the quarterback position, obviously, Jalen's been your starter the past couple of weeks. We saw Chancellor get some time in the second half. Any thoughts on who's going to start for you on Saturday?
Coach, the guy that practices best. I mean, obviously, and I said it before I took the job. In this league, if you don't have a quarterback, you're not going to have a chance to win the game. And so, obviously, we got a revolving door right now. And so that's kind of where we at. Chancellor gives us the best chance. We played all 3 of them. And so Jalen at times has done some good things, but he doesn't take care of the football. And then Makai, he can do some things, but we just need those guys. They're young, but they got to mature a little faster. They got to take the game more serious. They got to lead the football team, and they got to make the calls, make the checks when something breaks down. And so that's where we're at as a football program. But the foundation is being built. And we're going to continue to go out there every single day in practice and get better. We're going to challenge them. And that's what it's about. I mean, we're not going to lighten up on them. They understand what it's going to require. And I knew it when I took the job. But I'm excited as ever. And if anybody's ever doubt, I went to church yesterday, man. Our whole motto is restoring the pride. And when you're restoring something, man, you got to get down and dirty, man. You got to dig a little harder in order to get some of that dirt off. And we got a lot of dirt on us right now. But I tell you one thing about the golden line. It may look like we're losing, but I can tell you, man, we win it. We're winning on this side. We're doing a lot of great things in the community, our kids. If I can show you, you can come visit us on Friday, man. We have Team Chapel. That thing is rocking. So we're headed in the right direction. We don't have the wins right now, but hopefully this week we can get back on track and get the Golden Lions fan base excited. They are excited, and they know what it's going to be. And I'm telling my kids now, man, all you got to do is just stay in the race. If you stay in the race, we're going to have a chance. If you walk off that track, you ain't going to never win. You'll always be one of those guys that say, I could have, should have. But the Golden Lions, we're going to stay in the race.
All right, thanks, Coach.
Next question goes to Jay Keith.
Coach JT Keith, USA Today. Hey, can you talk about the growing pains you guys are going through? Because you guys look like you're prepared and that you play hard.
Yeah, I mean, Coach, everybody prepared and they play hard, but playing hard doesn't get the job done. Like, we're making too many mistakes. And I'll just use this as an example. The very first touchdown that Mississippi Valley scored, I mean, that was the easiest call that we had. And we had one guy not do his job. We sent a guy on a blitz. The quarterback has his back turned to him. He's probably going to get a strip sack. And he missed the tackle. And now the guy runs free on the backside safety. He doesn't do his job. It's a touchdown. He should have been sacked. But, that's part of the game. And then on the next one, it's just things like that kind of, as a coach, you're like, oh, man. And so we got to continue to coach these young men up and make them understand how important it is just to do your job. If he'd have went to the upfield shoulder, it would have been a sack. And then again, man, it was a good game. I mean, the score was 14-10 with like 8 minutes in the third quarter, and we hadn't played well at all. but we had got back in the game, and obviously, we had a chance. The very first drive, we had a chance to tie the game up. I think on the second drive, the running back literally I thought he had walked into the end zone, and like he pulled up for whatever reason. He pulled up. We talk about finishing the run, and the guy from the backside from Mississippi Valley, I give him a lot of credit. The guy come through on the backside and make the tackle when our kid literally should have walked in for the touchdown. But in turn, we got a field goal out of that and didn't get a touchdown. And it would have been 7-7. So again, my hat's off to those guys. But we got a lot of things we're working on here. We'll continue to do it. And like I said, we got a young football team, but we're never going to use that as an excuse. We're going to go out. We're going to keep recruiting. We got to get some dogs to come in here, and we got to get ready to go.
Thank you, Coach.
Coach Hampton, as always, we appreciate your time. Look forward to speak to you again next week.
All right, appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thank you. All right, next up, we go to Mississippi Valley State. Coach Wade, I do see that we have Coach with us. If you do have a question, once again, please utilize the raise your hand feature to get your question in the queue for Coach. Please limit your question to one initial question, potentially a follow-up. If we've got additional time allotted, we'll work our way back to get additional questions answered. Coach, first and foremost, thanks so much for taking some time to join us. If you could please start us out with an opening statement, recapping your team's most recent outing versus Arkansas Pine Bluff.
Oh, yes, sir. First of all, good morning to everybody. Coming off of our first victory, here this past weekend against a really good UAPB team. So I'm extremely proud of the guys for the way they went out and performed. Even more proud with how they handled themselves during the week. Homecomings at HBCU itself is a challenge. So the way they handled that was very encouraging, that those guys was able to kind of withstand that and refrain from doing all the things that they could do on a small campus here at Mississippi Valley State during the week of homecoming. We got a good Jackson State team rolling in who's coming off a disappointing loss. And, I know they ready to get back on the field and get back at it. So are we. So we're looking forward to the matchup.
Thank you for those opening comments, Coach. First question goes to Charles Bishop.
Coach Wade, how you doing?
Hey, Charles, how you doing?
Congratulations on your first win. I wanted to ask this question. It seems as though the light bulb has kind of gone off for Tajarian Williams. 227 yards passing versus Prairie View. Comes back with a bigger game against UAPB 265. But talk about his progression weekly and where you see him at now.
Man, Charles, I tell you, he shows up every day and he wants to be great. And, great players got something that we can't coach. He got that it factor. It's just something about him. He got it. Some people have it, some people don't. Like I said, he's always in the office. We almost have to drag him out of the office because he's always looking for ways to get better. That's just kind of who he is. And he do what he coached to do. He never go outside the framework of what we asked him to do. So, he don't beat himself and he just do a good job of taking care of the ball and he take what the defense give him.
Let me follow up by asking, there always seems to be this huge chip on Valley's shoulder, especially playing Jackson State. But talk about the atmosphere that you expect this upcoming weekend versus Jackson State.
Yeah, it's going to be electric, especially coming off this victory here for homecoming. That's on the outside. As far as in the building, it's just another week for us. We're just going to go about preparing the way we've done leading up to every other game that we played. So, I'm sure it's going to be a little bit more. Jackson State going to travel well. They're going to bring their people out. We know our Valley Nation is going to show up. But again, just to reiterate it, for us, it's just the next game. We're going to prepare the way we do. It's not about our opponent. It's about being the best version of ourselves.
Sure thing. Appreciate it, Coach.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Next question goes to Dr. Cavill.
Kenyatta Cavill, Dr. Cavill's inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Good morning, Coach Wade.
Hey, Doc. Good morning.
I'd be remiss if I didn't tell you that pullover looks sharp there. And congratulations on the win.
Appreciate you, Doc. Thank you, sir.
Oh, no problem, no problem. Don't get mad if I call and ask about it. See how I can pick it up. I'll write a check. With that being said,
gotcha.
I appreciate that. With that being said, while your defense gave up a lot of total yards, they seem to be pretty effective from keeping them off the board. Can you talk about your progression of your defense thus far?
Yeah, and it's good and bad. One thing about our defense, we see the same thing at practice. Once they get to a certain landmark, Now it's almost like something goes off where they say, well, now it's time to go get it. And we're trying to get away from that. We need to keep that same mindset throughout the duration of each and every drive because eventually they'll catch up with you. So they play hard, and that's one thing about it. And one thing about our guys, they fly around. So once we kind of reduce the area and now they only have 15, 20 yards to cover, I mean, we do a pretty good job of keeping people out the end zone.
Follow up moving forward. Next matchup, now you got the win, check that box, but now it's time to get into the next game. And in this case, it's one of two rivals for you, pretty unique for many teams, particularly in the SWAC with having two rivals in the state. This one is Jackson State to come down there. They've done some things positive this year, and then they also have done some things that not so much. What are some things that concern you about their offensive side of the ball, what you believe they'll come into this matchup looking to achieve?
Man, the first thing that you see when you turn that tape on for Jackson State, they got some dudes. They got some players out there. They got some guys out there on both sides of the ball that are really good, and that jumps out at you as soon as you look at them. Offensively, they want to run the ball. They want to establish the run, and everything comes off of that. So it's going to be very essential that we go out and try to stop the run this game, and we're going to have to force them to beat us through the air. If we can stop that ground attack, they got a couple of good backs who are really, really good. They're explosive, they're dynamic. So our work is going to be cut out for us. And like I said, it's going to be a challenge, and we're looking forward to it.
No doubt about it, Coach. Appreciate you. Look forward to the matchup myself.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Doc.
Good luck.
Next question goes to Tamona Stapleton.
Hi, Coach. Coach Wade. She Loves the Podcast. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm good. As a player, the rivalry between Valley and Jackson State, and Valley always plays hard, these two teams, regardless of the wins and the losses column. Can you talk a little bit about your defense and their ability to make those big stops and big plays that they've done over the past couple of weeks? How you, going into this next week, are trying to replicate some of that defensive stops that are going to be needed in order to beat Jackson State?
Yeah, just doing your job consistently. I mean, that's what it boils down to. 11 players doing their job, doing what they're coached to do, whether you play in Jackson State or any other state, just going out, giving max effort for 3 to 4 seconds is how we break it down. It's a 6-minute game. Within those 60 minutes, it's going to consist of a lot of 3 to 4 second increments of plays and just giving max effort. And like I said, these guys are good. I mean, they're really good. They're good at receiver. Their quarterback is really good. They're good up front. And they have some really good running backs. So we're going to do what we've been doing. We're not going to come in and come with a different philosophy. This week, it's the same deal. Everybody do their 1-11, go out, play as hard as you can for the next 3 to 4 seconds.
Thank you, Coach.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Currently taking questions for Coach Wade with Mississippi Valley State. All right, next question goes to Mr. Snyder.
Yes, good morning. Coach Wade, I think, psychologically, it's pretty fascinating when coaches come in trying to rebuild the program. The Pine Bluff coach was just talking about restoring the pride. You also have a similar mission at Valley. I was just wondering, how do you go about keeping the guys up psychologically when, the external circumstances, the one loss column is not going in the direction that they wanted to go?
And absolutely, by being consistent. You set your standards and you be consistent. And we always talk about the process, not the outcome, so the outcome, doesn't determine whether or not we're going to stay true to form. We walk in each and every day. We was 0-5 coming into this game. And the way these kids approached it have been very consistent because we've been consistent, so it's just about being consistent. That's it. Like it's nothing difficult. Whatever the standard is, you stick with it. And in the process, you're going to lose some guys. We've lost some guys. Everybody that started this journey is not on this journey with us. And we had guys who come in and it was too tough. One thing about it, it's easy to sell, the standard when you're, hadn't won a game, hadn't played a game. When you sitting at 0-5 and you staying true to this as far as being on time, doing what you're supposed to do, being where you're supposed to be, and you hadn't had any wins to show, it makes it difficult for guys to kind of stay the course. But again, we've stayed the course as coaches, as coaching staff. We walk in every morning, we say we got to stay true to who we are. And that allows growth. Win, lose, or draw, it allows growth. So consistency is the word, man, that I would use, that allows you to be able to kind of change the standard. Because in the past, at any bad program, people come in and when they first get there, they say things are going to be this way. Then when things don't go well, then you see guys just kind of, saying, well, this is just how it is at Valley. We don't accept that. Our standard is our standard, and it's going to be like that as long as I'm here.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Got time for one final question for Coach Wade with Mississippi Valley State. Coach, as always, we appreciate your time. We look forward to speaking to you again next week.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right.
All right, next up, we'll go to Prairie View A&M. Coach McDowell. Once again, if you do have questions for Coach, please utilize the raise your hand feature to get your question in the queue. Please limit your questions to one initial question, potentially a follow-up. If we've got additional time, we'll work our way back to get additional questions answered. As always, Coach McDowell, thank you so much for taking some time to join us. Coach, if you could, please start us out with an opening statement, just recapping your team's most recent outing versus Houston Christian.
Good morning, everybody. We went across town, stunk it up a little bit offensively, defensively. Again, guys just didn't play well for whatever reason, but as coaches, we got to get them ready to go. Much needed break to get back to the fundamentals of things and get these guys to understand, what's at stake right now. And then we got to get better going forward. We're going down to Tallahassee, play a really good team, well-coached team. And we got to give it. We got to be ready for them. We know they're going. It's homecoming for them. It's going to be hype. We just got to stay the course, man. And if we do that, with these young men, I think we're going to be okay. But again, all week, that we're off. Should I say we're off this week? So we're just getting back to the basic and getting these guys to understand, where we need to be, as I said earlier, and and put us in position to to play some good football.
Thank you so much for those opening comments, Coach. First question goes to Charles Bishop.
How you doing, Coach?
What's up, C?
Hey, wanted to ask, and you mentioned this past weekend stunk it up pretty well, but your message to the team going into this bye week, the philosophy. I mean, do you burn this film, or do you sit everybody down in front of it and just kind of go through where you are with this game and where you have started going into that game?
The way we stunk it up, Charles, you can't burn this. These guys got to see what they did wrong and, get the coaching from the coaches. They can see, what the coaches see and what they're not doing, what they've been taught to do all week long and ask why, ask questions like, why didn't you do it? And that's been, kind of our Achilles heel, again, being in position, but again, several plays, not making plays and guys just not doing their responsibility. And we've been trying to encourage these guys, hey, just, do your job first and let everything else, your athletic ability come out after that. But, everything starts with you up front, in the middle, in the back, and as well as offense and defensively. And we just got to get to the point where they have to get to the point where they got to trust these coaches. They know what they're doing and execute their assignments.
Sure. I wanted to follow up on that 10 penalties for 100 yards. But it seemed as though the frustration was really mounting on the sideline with regards to the penalties called this past weekend. I wanted to focus in on one in particular where there was an unsportsmanlike called on the bench. Unfortunately, the PA mic was open from the referee, but kind of give us your take on what that interaction and how that kind of came about.
Well, again, I know where you're going. I was sharing, but again, it was some bad officiating over there on that side. It's like everything that everything was being called against us, and that's why I was calling Craig, who was the head of official guy at for that game. And I wanted to ask him, what's going on. You gotta let us play. When they initiate, you're gonna call it, but then when we retaliate, as I told the guys, we're getting caught retaliating, so we got to calm it down. As I told them today, we got to get out of that. And I told them, I promise you, we're gonna get out of it because again, we're in position several times, y'all. I mean, we had to stop here, stop there 4 or 5 times, man. And then one time we jumped off sides again, and then the personal foul came in, and then it gave them momentum. And then we still had a chance, to get an interception when it was only 10. They only had 10 at the time. Then we just missed a interception to take it to the house of 7 again, which could have been a momentum change. But again, Craig, I mean, he just, when I asked him the explanation, why, what are you doing? And he said, well, you guys have been over there twice on their sideline. And I'm like, what does that mean? What are you asking? And that's why I got so frustrated at that particular time, because I thought they was targeting us, for some reason, and not letting their issues go and not disciplining them at the same time. If you're going to do it both ways. I have no problem with that, but it seemed like it was more towards us than anything.
Sure thing. Appreciate your time, Coach.
Thank you.
Next question goes to Dr. Cavill.
Coach, I want to follow up on that. I was engaged with the 10 penalties for 100 yards and the concern about that. But when you get to that point where ultimately, if you just don't think you're going to get a fair opportunity, do you look at rescheduling games like that? Or it gets to the point where you're saying, if it's not going to be equitable in terms of how it's going to be called, do you say, well, let's go figure out and try to play somebody else where we're going to get a fair shot of being able to play the game?
Absolutely. And again, it's bad enough when the team is not playing well, and then you're having a ref help you out as well. I mean, there's no way a team is going to be able to win, playing bad and then playing against the ref as well. So yeah, going forward, yes, if that is the case, I'm all for it, man. Because again, that type of situation cannot happen again. Because again, it was just, to me, and in my opinion, blatantly it was just bad calling on our end, as if we was doing doing everything the wrong way. And I know for a fact, even just looking at it on film again, I mean, the kids was they were starting it, but again, wasn't getting called for it, and we retaliated and we got called for it. But again, our guys got to understand that, again, when it's not going our way, they got to be smart enough. They understand that, again, and they can't do that. The second guy is, as we always know, always get caught.
Second year at the helm, last year had the experience in terms of the open week. What are you deciding to do in terms of the open week in regards to doing analysis of what you did during the first couple of games? Or are you going about going and looking at the little details to see where you can get better?
For us, it's definitely, you hit it on the head, dog. We got to go back and look at the little things, man, because it's the little things that are hurting us, in situations where we can get the momentum, and then we end up not getting it because we're not disciplined enough, not focusing enough on the play at the particular time. So we got to get back, get these young men back focused mentally, and get them ready to go. Because again, we got talent here. We just got to make sure that these guys know that, we still got their back. We still got a lot of football left to play, and we're still not out of it. So we got to go. If we plan on doing what we asked, we plan on doing what we talked about at the beginning of the year. Now it's the time to do it. From here on out, we're going into an all SWAC play, so we got to make sure that we're doing what we're supposed to do this week on the field, even though it's a bye week. I told them this morning, hey, I need you guys to come out, the rest of the week and just do what we asked you guys to do, be where you're supposed to be assignment wise, and let's get better. Because again, if you're not trying to get better out there on that practice field, there's no way you're going to carry it into gameplay and get better.
Thank you, Coach. Look forward to the following week when we get back into it.
Thanks, Doc.
Next question goes to Mr. Mosby.
Hey, how you doing, Coach McDowell?
How you doing?
Hey, I had a question about the team. This season had 3 games out of conference, outscored 144-16 and 75-16 against FCS opponents. I was wondering, why do you think the team has not been ready to compete in these out of conference games this season?
I don't know. I mean, that's on me. We got me as a head coach and as coaches, we just got to get them ready and just have these kids understand that, still football, even though it's out of conference, you still we still want to go out and play the game, man, play the game to the best of our ability, no matter who it is, in conference, out of conference, we want to win. They want to win, in order for us to win, everybody still has to execute their assignments, and a lot of those games, again, we didn't do it. We did things at the wrong time, doing our own thing at the wrong time, and it was cost you. Anytime you go against a good team, and they see it, they exploit it. That's what they're doing. They're gonna exploit it, and they're gonna make you pay for it. So again, just getting our kids to understand. Do your 100, man. Do your job first, and we're going to be okay. And I promise you, we can do that. And I know we will going into this SWAC play. We're gonna be okay. Just going back to the fundamentals of this week and letting these guys understand. This is where we are. This is what needs to happen throughout this week. And get back off the break and get ready to play a good football team down there in Florida.
Okay, and then one follow-up question. I know the offense has shown that it can move the ball this year. This past weekend against Houston Christian, only 6 first downs, 110 yards of total offense, and I think it was alluded to earlier, 100 penalty yards. How much do you think that offensive outcome is attributed to maybe the offense becoming a little bit too predictable?
Well, again, whether you're predictable or not, you still got to go make plays. I mean, as I told guys, shoot, that guy across from you, is he better than you or are you better than him? Scheming in football is everything. I get it. But at the end of the day, you still got to make plays. We've had many, many opportunities during the course of that game this past weekend to make plays, and we did not do it. And that's why I said we stunk it up, probably the worst game we played all year long. Obviously, we didn't score, but again, we left a lot of open opportunities out there offensively this past weekend. So again, it's not like they're not executing it properly, but not only executing properly, then we got to make the play. You got to make it happen when opportunity presents itself. No matter again, in conference, out of conference, you got to make the play.
Got you. Well, thank you so much for taking my questions, Coach.
Yes, sir.
Coach McDowell, as always, we appreciate your time. Look forward to speaking to you again next week.
All right. Let me just say congratulations, Coach Wade. First win. Good job, buddy.
Appreciate it, Coach. Next up, we'll go to Southern University. Coach Dooley. Do see that we have Coach with us. Coach, first and foremost, thank you so much for taking some time out of your schedule to join us. Coach, if you could please start us out with an opening statement recapping your team's most recent outing versus Lincoln.
Yeah, this past weekend we played out of conference game. Of course, it was homecoming. That's always scary on the HBCU site. There's going to be folks from all over the country, to be honest with you. But I thought that the players came out. We handled it well. We understood what was the task at hand. It wasn't that we were playing out of conference. We were playing football, and we had to try to get Southern University better. I thought we came out the first quarter and played well. Then I thought we kind of got a little complacent when you talk about that. We got to understand that it's a 60-minute ball game, and that's all I teach and preach. But unfortunately, the second and third quarter, we didn't play as needed, but we got back on track. The big thing, the biggest stat of it all, that we got the victory. So now it's always great to get back in the win column, and you can make those corrections with a W. Now, more importantly, right now, it's SWAC time, and it's a one-week playoff for us every week.
Appreciate those opening comments, Coach. First question goes to Jim Kleinpeter.
Hi, Coach. Just talk about some of the things about Bethune-Cookman that impress you, what you've seen on tape.
Well, something that I talk about all the time. You got to play for 60 minutes. Those guys gonna play for 60 minutes. They're playing hard, and you understand the whole thing about it. But all the teams right here, I don't have to evaluate them or what have you. I know teams in this conference going to play hard, and they're doing some great things. So we got to look at them defensively. They're playing sound. They're playing sound defense. No question about that. They're getting to the football, and that's what you hope for. And offensively, they're able to move the ball and score points this last game they played, they scored 31 points. So that's always a concern. So we know we got a challenge, a huge challenge ahead of us, and we're ready to accept the challenge.
Are you playing up the angle of playing in a pro football stadium? The game was moved to with the game being moved to Jacksonville.
You know, that's always great. You know, it's always about the experience, and that's what we tell our players when you come to Southern University. You're going to have an experience that you can remember for a lifetime. So to have the opportunity to play in a professional stadium that's not in your state, I think it's great to let guys know why you want to come to Southern University. So we're not going to be in awe of it. We understand it's a football game that has to be played, but it's an honor and a pleasure to play in a pro stadium.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Next question goes to Dr. Cavill.
Kenyatta Cavill, Dr. Cavill is inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Good morning, Coach Duty.
Good morning, Doc.
Good. Wanted to ask about your quarterback, Harold Blood. Really effective in this particular matchup, getting in the end zone through the pass with 3 touchdowns, totaling 329 yards. As you know, he did have an interception. Talk about his play in this game and just his continued maturation throughout the season.
You know, that's the thing that I look for. I look for growth. I look for guys getting better, and he's proven that he's getting better each week. Is he a perfect quarterback? I'm still looking for one. I don't think no one would ever find one, but the things that we asking him to do, he's doing a great job of it, and he's getting better. You know, I always like to harp on it because it's everybody's mistake. You know, the quarterback gonna get the stat, but everybody threw an interception. When I say that, not one person throws the interception. All of us throw an interception, because as a former wide receiver, I don't want my quarterback to throw an interception, because I'm gonna find a way to make sure that guy don't catch it. If I don't catch it, nobody catches it. But he's doing a great job, and I think he's getting better each week. Right now, we're in midpoint of the season. Right now, he's doing the things that we asking him to do. Some things we have to correct because we got a stretch coming here right now, and we know it's gonna be very challenging. But I like the progress of what he's doing.
Good thing there, Coach. Well, once you find that perfect quarterback, you know you don't have to keep him to yourself now. You can share.
I think everybody's gonna recruit him. It's gonna be tough.
Exactly. With that being said, seriousness, getting back to it, Bethune-Cookman in your next matchup, as you said, they've been very formal. Defensive side have been solid. But I'm curious about Jimmy Robinson III. He seemed pretty effective in his last game, 98 yards on just 17 carries. Small in stature a lot of ways, just 5'7" at least of what he's listed. But he seems quite mature and pretty effective. You have a great defensive front. How do you see them going against him, the offensive line, particularly trying to stop the run in this next match?
You know, I never worry about size, because I say the hole is going to open up wide, not high. So we understand that. So his size really don't matter to us. We know that he's an effective runner. Great things. So we know it's a challenge for us, no question about that. I do like what we bring to the table defensively, but that doesn't mean anything, because all that we have done, that's in the past. Right now, we facing someone else that does some things differently, and I think he's a challenge for us. But of course, we'd be up for the challenge, and we have to prepare to stop him. Not just him. There's several guys on that squad that can play football. There's no question about it. So we're doing our evaluation, have already done most of it, and still looking at some things that we think that can benefit us.
Thank you, Coach. Good luck this weekend. Look forward to the matchup.
Thank you, Doc.
Next question goes to Perry Daniels.
Hey, Coach, congratulations on the homecoming win.
Thank you.
Let's talk about the trip to Florida and what you expect. You often say that teams in the SWAC are going to play for 60 minutes, but this particular Bethune-Cookman team has been struggling so far this year. What are some areas that you think you can exploit?
Well, you know, I actually was on the call earlier when that question was asked before. You know, if it's some things that I feel I can exploit, I don't think you guys would ever find out, because I'm not gonna say that right now. Of course, we all looking at some things that we can do and get some success behind it. But we're facing a good football team. You know, I never, when I face an opponent, I don't look at records. I look at what the coach is doing, and I think coach is doing a phenomenal job and getting his guys ready to play football. Unfortunately, some things haven't gone the way that he probably anticipated, but that has nothing to do with this game right here. It's a full game. He has the same opportunity that I have. So I'm expecting a huge challenge, and we got to get up for it and be ready for it.
Let's talk about your running game, Coach. This past week, Gary Qualls had 14 attempts for 92 yards, and then Kendrick Rhymes also added some yards. Let's talk about that, the running back room and the development of those athletes.
You know, we got off to a slow start. I thought we had some talent in that room. I thought that room was loaded with talent, and we got off to a slow start. But here again, you know, it takes 11 guys to play football. We had to get some things corrected up front, and it's starting to come right now. It's not nearby where I want it to be at, but I'm starting to see some of the improvements that are coming with our running games. We're able to control it a little bit better and able to get some yards. So with Garrett Qualls and Kendrick Rhymes, those guys are doing a great job. And then we had someone else to come along too that's running the football pretty good when we talk about CJ. So we got some guys in the room that we feel we just got to find a way to get them out there. And that comes down to me. I always say, you know, I tell the guys when I first come to whatever program I come to, there's enough food at the table. You just got to sit there. And those guys are sitting at the table, so I got to find a way to feed them.
That's awesome. Good luck, Coach.
Thank you. Thank you.
Last question goes to Jim Klein-Peter.
Yeah, Coach, you mentioned you thought you had the best secondary in the country with your secondary. And I wanted you to talk about Dimitri Morsell. He kind of missed a couple of games early in the season, but how has he developed, and is he part of how big a part of that secondary is he?
He's a huge part of it. We know he had a talent when coming in here. You're talking about a young man that had one of the highest draft grades in all of HBCU. And now we finally get a chance to get him out on the field, the things that we evaluated. And it took a little while. You know, his very first game he came in, you can tell that he's a playmaker, although he's playing on defense. He's a playmaker. The very first game, he almost returned a fumble for a touchdown. So just him being there, his presence and his knowledge of the game, I think it helps. I do feel, and I think every coach feel that way, but I'm sincere about some of the young men that we have in our secondary. When you talk about a Christian Davis, you're talking about a Jordan Carter who's playing tremendous football right now. And then you talk about a young guy that's coming along, Horatio Johnson. So those guys within that secondary, not even mentioning Rodney Johnson, there's so many guys that we have that we finding that chemistry. Coach Miller is doing a great job, but Marcel is coming along, and now I think he's, I can say he's seasoned right now. You know, he had to get some games up under his belt, and I feel that everything that would have happened within the first 2 weeks have happened for him right now, and he should be ready to go.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Coach, as always, we appreciate your time. Look forward to speaking to you again next week.
Thank you, guys.
Yes, sir. Thank you. All right, we now go to Texas Southern University. Head Coach McKinney. See that we have Coach with us. Once again, if you do have any questions for Coach, please utilize the raise your hand feature to get your question in the queue. With that being said, happy to be joined by Coach McKinney with Texas Southern. Coach, first and foremost, thank you so much for taking some time out of your schedule to join us. If you could, please start us out with an opening statement, recapping your team's win over Bethune-Cookman.
Yeah, hard fought win versus Bethune this past weekend. You know, a tough game. Thought we started really fast, which we pre-starting fast. I went out on both sides of the ball and performed really well for the first 30 minutes of the game. And hats off to Bethune. They continued to play, gained the momentum out of halftime, and we held on to finish it off in the end.
Thank you so much for those opening comments, Coach. First question goes to Dr. Cavill.
Kenyatta Cavill, Dr. Cavill's inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Congratulations on a tough road victory.
Thank you, Doc.
Wanted to ask you about Ladarius Owens. As you know, had a big game for those that didn't. 19 for 163 yards and 3 touchdowns, averaged 8.6. But particularly for the senior on this last play where he sealed the deal, literally getting outside, breaking it down. But the fact that he decided to go on a knee, basically, give himself up on essentially 1 yard line instead of getting into the end zone and getting that extra stat. He decided to keep the ball with yourself, and you could take the proverbial knee, run out the clock instead of having the necessary to kick the ball off and taking the ball out of your offensive side of the ball. Can you talk about his play in general and then the mindset in terms of who he is as a senior 5'9", 186-pounder right here out of Houston to make that type of decision?
Yeah, he's a really hard worker. You know, he came to this offseason dedicated to becoming the best player that he could possibly be. And he's shown that, you know, he's improved each year he's been here. And this season, you know, from the first game to the last game, he's steadily improved. He's been a workhorse for us. And the play that you're talking about there at the end is something that we coach. You know, when the game's basically in hand, you need a first down. There's no need to score a touchdown. And we call it no mas, no more. And he was smart enough to go down when we needed him to go down, because at that point, you know, if he goes in and scores a touchdown, we got to kick off. They have a great kick returner. You know, he may bring it back to score on the kick return, and then we have to put the hands team back out there. So it was a great play, great heads up play by him. And we're just glad that we were fortunate enough to be in that situation.
Thank you, Coach, for sharing that in terms of his mindset and the fact that that's something that's coached. Follow-up is the next matchup coming back home, big home game. I know a lot of this on the media side, but if you would entertain me and just add and provide me with your thought process as a coach. You're playing a top 25 FCS program at FAMU Rattlers. In a lot of the HBC polls, they're ranked number one, if not number one, certainly number two across the board. Obviously, you do what you do during the week to make sure your team is prepared, offensively, defensive, special teams. But before the game, do you get any, or even maybe sometime during the week, do you get into this media stuff that we do in regards that the number one team is coming into your house and you want to protect this house, those kind of things?
No, we don't get off into that. You know, FAM's a great team. We knew that when they were put on the schedule. So we just got to go out and be the best version of us. Hopefully play a complete game. They're probably the best team that we've played up until this point so far. And, you know, we just got to go out and play our best game, take care of the ball. Hopefully we can get a couple turnovers and see what happens at the end.
Thank you, Coach. Well, you know, we have a little show over here, a streaming show, so we'll do the marketing side. We'll see if we can help bring some extra light and certainly sell some tickets. So you do your side and we'll do our side. I appreciate it.
Appreciate that, Doc. We definitely can use a sellout.
I hear that.
Next question goes to Kyle Mosley.
Hey, Coach. Doc won't let me on the show, but that's okay. We'll still do what we can for TSU. Look, the defense, you guys did a very, very good job. Talk about what Atkins and Williams and those guys were able to do with I think it was 13.5 TFLs and 7 sacks. Talk about those guys. Yeah,
we played enough plays to make those tackles and sacks defensively. But I think our defense has done a tremendous job for us this past weekend, actually creating 2 turnovers that led to 14 points. And we just got to do a better job of getting off the field. You know, I think we're on the field way too much. And we got to win those third down battles and get off the field.
And talk about the quarterback. Jace looks a little bit more comfortable. Every game he's getting more and more comfortable with his position. How do you feel as though he performed on Saturday?
I thought he did exactly what we asked him to do. He led the team. He made some plays, made some great throws when we needed him to make the throws, checked us into the right plays when we needed him to do that. He's getting a lot more comfortable with what we're asking him to do. He's getting more comfortable within the scheme. We knew when we brought him in here that he had the tools to be a good quarterback, and it's just a matter of him understanding what's the expectation for him to go out and execute on each particular play. And I think he's getting really comfortable within that role, and we're starting to see some success because of it.
All right. Hey, good luck on Saturday.
Thanks.
Currently taking questions for Coach McKinney with Texas Southern. Final questions for Coach? Coach McKinney, as always, we appreciate you. Looks like we've got one last question that'll go to Dr. Cavill.
Kenyatta Cavill, Dr. Cavill. Wanted to get in there with that key interception late in the game that you were able to get from your defensive. Talk about that play call and the headiness to step in front of it and kind of see that ball and make that play.
Yeah, Xavier Player was playing a man coverage, and he undercut the throw, which was a great decision by him. Ball's thrown a little bit behind him, fell right into his hands, and put us in great position to score a touchdown right there inside the 10-yard line, I believe it was.
Thank you, Coach,
but yeah,
for the follow-up. And thank you, Andrew, for letting me get that back in there.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Coach McKinney, as always, we appreciate your time. We look forward to speaking to you again next week.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you. We would like to take this opportunity to express our sincere condolences to the Jackson State University community for the obviously the senseless act of violence that transpired here recently. Due to that, Coach Taylor will not be available for media today, as he is there in support for his student athletes and all of those affected by that tragedy. So this will actually conclude our call. We'll get this call processed, distributed out to our email distribution list on Zoom. As always, we appreciate our media members that participate, and we hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thanks.
Yes, sir.